how much time we have till the break? Do I have
Yeah, we got 2 minutes still.
Okay,
go ahead.
I'll tell you a very important story. My grandma was a Jewish girl from Melitopol, from Ukraine. She was a Jewish girl in small town in Ukraine. And during the Jewish pogroms organized by Semyon Petlura in Ukraine, which was a fact, there were pogroms. Every time there was a pogrom, my grandma, who was a little kid, 5 or 6 or 7-year-old, she was taken into this Ukrainian family, put in the middle of her kids, Ukrainian kids. They put a cross on her chest, little cross, showing that it's a Christian kid. It's not a Jewish kid. And that's the way she was consistently saved by this Ukrainians.
Protected.
Yeah. So both are Ukrainians, Petlura, who organized the pogroms, and this woman who was saving my grandma. So I'm eternally grateful, and my gratitude is a dominating, important memory, and this is important. And some people, some Jewish people who think, don't talk about those few who are saving. Let's talk about those many, and most who were participating. I don't think it's the right perspective. Yes, it was a tragedy. Yes, majority, civilization is very fragile. Yes, majority unfortunately disappoints. But we absolutely need to remember the best and emphasize it. Martin Gilbert, great historian, even wrote a book, The Righteous, entire book dedicated to those who were saving during the Holocaust. Yeah.
Saving the Jews.
Yes.
No question about it. We're talking about Zhenya Kiperman. We're talking with Zhenya Kiperman regarding the Russian-Ukraine conflict, the Putin army against the Ukrainian people. What are your thoughts about the difficult position that Israel is in light of the geopolitical issues they face in the region, in their region, and the impact that Russia has on those issues?
Yes, you're absolutely right. The position of Israel is difficult indeed, and Israel needs to first and foremost, think of its own national interests. And for Israel at any time, it's a much tougher choice and responsibility, much bigger than for most countries, because Israel is at the state of eternal danger all the time, constantly. It's very small. We all know that. We all know that. And I think, speaking about Israel versus Ukraine, we need to distinguish between the policymakers, the politicians, the people in power who have this responsibility. And we cannot demand from them help Ukraine all the time, because they know the grave responsibility. However, their second part is just regular people, Jews living in Israel, and for that matter, Jews living elsewhere. And about these people, me personally, as a Jew, I am bothered by people who feel, Ukraine is far away, and also Ukraine was so anti-Semitic, why should we care? I personally feel pained by this position, because how is this position different from those non-Jews who during the Second World War, looking at their Jewish neighbors being taken away, looked the other way and said to themselves, or thought to themselves, it's none of our business, them are not us. How are these Jews today different? That's my question. Therefore, regular people, I think should be in pain and should try their best to help in any way, even just by putting Ukrainian flag on the car or something like that. But they cannot be indifferent. As far as politicians, I do hope that now that Bibi Netanyahu is back, who is a forceful, strong politician, I do hope he will find a way to help Ukraine more, even given his difficult position in terms of the Syria, Iran versus Russia's influence in Syria. This is all clear, and maybe in the smart ways that the policy is made, not publicly, not from the podium, not in the newspapers, but in some cafes, small cafes somewhere in Jerusalem or in Paris. There's certain important decisions can be made, and because ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, Israel cannot possibly be with Putin. Israel cannot possibly be with Putin's Russia. It's the dead end. And Israel is a normal democratic, and one of the strongest in terms of mental.
And a huge Russian population.
Yes. So ultimately, I do feel and I hope that it's moving in the right direction, and there will be more and more help coming from from Israel. In this regard, I want to quote a very important Jewish person who is American Jew, a great mind, a great supporter of Israel, but she also is a supporter of Ukraine. And in fact, her essay early on in the first weeks of this invasion inspired me largely to start my book. I'm talking about Barry Weiss. And she wrote an essay early on at the beginning of this invasion. She wrote an essay called Things Worth Fighting For, Things Worth Fighting For. And she was talking about this essay about her watching on television, on YouTube and on online images of Ukrainians. She says, I was watching for hours and hours at Ukrainians, and I was thinking, what is it bothering me? What makes me uncomfortable looking at that? Because this is heroic, powerful stuff. Why am I so uncomfortable? And then she found the answer. And she says, I'm quoting Barry Weiss. She says, why is witnessing such courage uncomfortable? It is because I cannot help but notice the gap between them and us. Because between the bigness of their vision and their mission, and the smallness of ours, between their moral clarity and our moral confusion, between their spine and our spinelessness, between their courage and our epidemic of cowardice, between their commitment to civilization and our resignation to chaos. And when I read that, I thought, thank you, Barry. And I thought, thank you, Barry, because I'm from Russia. I know. But you are born in America and you have a powerful voice and you're known. It is so important that you say that, because we have to learn from them. We need to be inspired, because today, in terms of the spine and moral character, where are the Western values? Give me liberty or give me death. Where is that in the Western world? Long time ago, we betrayed those values for comfort. We replaced the love for liberty by the comfort.